Good evening, and welcome to UBUNTU Unity Conversation Series. My name is Abdi Sofe. I'm the New American Program Coordinator, and we're very much pleased to welcome you to this conversation today in partnership with our colleagues at Columbus Public Health. The word Ubuntu is originated in South African concept, and today's conversation, meaning we're all interconnected. So we're very much pleased to have you all, and thank you for your time this evening, taking the time to engage a productive, meaningful conversation about unity, collaboration, and creating a sense of cohesion. And for this particular conversation this month, in recognition commemoration of Black History Month, because February is the African American History Month, and we wanted to thank our colleagues at Columbus Public Health. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our elected officials who were able to join us today. We have our own council member, Councilwoman Nancy Day Okwire, who happens to be the chair of the Department of Neighborhoods, our own director, Dr. Kim Douglas, who were also able to join us, the whole team of Columbus Public Health, and our amazing panelists, Dean Smith, Hasiba Makur, Deba Awadia, and Karen Scott, who were generous enough to talk to us about this conversation today. With that, I want to turn over to our host, Lindora Howard Diawara.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. And Council Member, thank you for honoring our invitation. And everybody else that were here with us in December. We had a power-packed conversation for this series, and thank you for the suggestions, the recommendations that you've made. Today, we are here again. Today is the first session for 2025, and we are very glad to be here. Just so you know, as you may have seen in your program, on your program sheets, this session the event has been rebranded. So from Columbus Conversation Series, we now have the Ubuntu Conversation Series, we now have the Ubuntu Series, Unity Conversations Across Cultures. You like that? Yeah. We all agree that we needed something that will tell the message. Immediately upon seeing it, people would understand what that means. So we are glad today, as Abdi said, to be hosting this event in partnership with Columbus Public Health. It's been nice working with Regina and the rest of the team in the back. And we are here today. We have our panelists. The last one, we had a guest speaker. So we are very glad to have our panel today. We have 4 people that will be joining us. As you've seen, we have Dean Smith. He's a commissioner of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission, and he's a NALA graduate 2024. We also have with us Hasiba Makur. She's the Executive Director of Advanced Education Technology, and she graduated in 2023, NALA 2023. So it's nice to have her. We have with us Deba Awadia, who is the Chief Editor of the New American Magazine, and he graduated from NALA in 2018. All right, that's enough with NALA. We also have with us Karen Scott, who's with the Ohio Poetry Association. She's here with us, and she'll be making some presentation, but also participating on the panel. Hasiba will also bring us some poem. So we are excited to have you all. Thank you for coming. To all of you that have been coming, I see some previous panelists. I see Bashir. He was with the youth panel. Thank you for coming. It was really a great time working with all of you last year because of the information shared, the recommendations made. Today we are here. We can now look forward with much hope. All right, in terms of our goal today, we have 3 key goals. The first one is to elevate the importance of Black History Month and create an opportunity for learning and empathy across cultures. Secondly, We are here to help identify the values and wealth that we all bring to this city and community engagement landscape, as well as highlight the importance of culture and diversity. Thirdly, foster dialogue and learning aimed at bringing gaps between African Americans and African immigrants for enhanced relationship building and collaboration. So one of the things that we heard last year was that, well, African Americans, African immigrants, there's a gap. We are not engaging. And so we thought that this Black History Month was a good opportunity to start that conversation, and hopefully that's a conversation that will continue to go on. So without much ado, I would just now, it's my pleasure, we don't have the library representative here, but it's now my pleasure to introduce to the podium Hasiba, who will now come and bring us her poem.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me to participate in this important conversation as we celebrate Black History Month. It's an honor to stand here among such inspiring leaders and change makers. My name is Hasiba Makour. I am an entrepreneur, educator, and the CEO of Advanced Technology Education Institute, where we empower individuals through education and technical skills. I am also passionate about electronic recycling and sustainability. Like many newcomers, my journey has been filled with challenges and opportunities. Coming from Algeria, starting a business in the United States was not easy. I faced cultural, language, and professional barriers. But with perseverance and the support of my community, I found my way. Today, we celebrate a journey of hope, resilience, and new beginnings. Becoming a citizen is more than a process. It's a promise, a dream fulfilled, and future embraced. We come with our past in our hearts and roots in the land we have left behind. But kindness, opportunity, and community help us move forward. This poem is for all who have taken the brave step proudly, carrying their past while courageously build a new home. My poem is Home of Dream, and I'm gonna say my poem. You arrive with hope in your hands, a heart full of stories from faraway lands. Each step you take, a bridge you build, we with courage, strength, and dreams fulfilled. The road is long, the path is unknown, yet here you do not walk alone. With every oath, with every right, a bright future comes into sight. Through work and will, through love and grace, you find your voice, you find your place. No longer a stranger, but part of the song. This land is yours. You have belonged all along. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hasiba. We will now call on Karen.
Hello, everybody. My poem is entitled, Hello. Hello, are you new here? No, I'm not new here, but I do know what it's like to be new. My father served this country for 27 years, a proud member of the United States Air Force. So every 2 or 3 years, I got to be new. A new base, in a new state, or even a new country. Yes, I know what it's like to be the new kid in school, living in a new house or apartment, in a new town, surrounded by strangers, strange accents, strange foods, new streets to navigate. You want to know the best part about being new? The people you'll meet and the friends you'll make. Friends and classmates, work friends, friends you may keep until you are as old as I am. It starts with a friendly greeting from one person who simply says, "Hello, are you new here?" Who introduces you to their friends, who may become your friends too. And soon you're not new here anymore. You're not alone. Hi, my name is Karen. I'd like to be your friend.
And I'd like to be your friend too. All right, thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful. It is now my pleasure to call on Director Douglas for her opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to try to be paperless for 2024. So I'm doing this, I know, right, by an iPad. It's the movement, right? We put everything in the cloud. We're conserving. And so this is my first trial. And we're going to put the glasses back on. First step. It is my honor to join you here for the first UBUNTU session of 2025. Thank you for joining us. Your presence here gives us all the assurance that we are not alone in our quest to improve the of welcoming newcomers to Columbus, enhancing community relations, and celebrating an environment where everyone can thrive. We are grateful for all the partners that we have here in the room today. They've been stated, but I want to also call out Columbus Public Health, and we wouldn't be in this great facility if it were not for the partnership with Columbus Metropolitan Library. We've heard our thank you to Councilmember Dayakauer and our community leaders and those who have agreed to serve as our panelists tonight that I'm sure will bring a new and creative look and lens and perspective to our topics. Thank you to CTV for being here tonight, for expanding our visibility in the community. We know that people have busy schedules, and so we're grateful to have the medium with the City of Columbus to be able to provide this conversation for viewing as people are comfortable. It is exciting to see more and more people attracted to this conversation space to discuss our lives, our communities, and how we can thrive together. The issues raised are challenges that we must tackle together. We all can find hope and courage in the way that we move forward. The opportunities created for cross-cultural conversations during our pilot year of the program led us to the recommendations on how we move forward here today. As you heard from Lindora, one of the recommendations was the need to create more opportunities for our African communities, immigrants, and refugees to engage more meaningfully. There are missed opportunities for learning, for empathy across cultures, and community development. As Abdi mentioned, today we join many others across the country to celebrate Black History Month. It's a time that for me allows me to celebrate the victories that we won and to look at the many sacrifices of our ancestors that can help us to steady our hands for the work that we have ahead. Thank you again for joining this conversation around shared opportunities and challenges. We all want to gain a better insight on how we work better together and build a Columbus that thrives. Now it is my pleasure to bring to the podium Councilmember Nancy Dayakauer.
I had to give up using my phone a few years ago because I can only fit a few words in the size font I need. Thank you all for being here this evening for the UBUNTU series conversation. We need to talk. Those words can create anxiety because they often lead to difficult conversations. You never want to hear those words coming from your boss or your spouse. But in communities across the country, we need to talk. So many conversations lately start with some version of the phrase, "We are living in unprecedented times." We hear it a lot because it's true. The United States was founded on the belief that all who seek a life of freedom and hope for prosperity can find it by coming to this country. Both the freedom from tyranny and persecution and the freedom to live authentically as one's true self. Tragically, these ideals have come under fire. So we need to talk. The vision of our country being a home to all cultures is an ideal that some people are opposing. But here in Columbus, we say, bring it on. Columbus is home to all cultures, and hate has no home here. It is in these challenging times that conversations like the one we will have this evening are so important. While we may be disillusioned by state and national headlines and developments, it's important for us to not lose sight of our local community. The largest impact each of us can have is in our local communities. By showing compassion, building understanding with our neighbors who may not be like us. While others are driving wedges to divide people, we need to come together. That's why we need to talk. Willingness to have conversations about different views and experiences and learn from each other is how we strengthen our community and unite through both the good times and the challenging times. Cities like Columbus thrive on our diversity. It drives our economy and gives people a sense of belonging. Diversity is what makes the mosaic that is Columbus. Lots of individuals coming together to build a beautiful creation. It's always an ever-changing work in progress, and it's incomplete without all of us coming together. We need to talk. We need to talk because doing so helps make us a beautiful community. Thanks for being here this evening.
We need to talk. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Council Member. Now I'll call on our partner, representative from Columbus Public Health, Regina Brunson. She and I have been working hard to put this together. So the way we're going to go about this phase is that she'll bring to you her opening remarks, her opening statement, and then we'll move on to the panel. We're going to co-moderate the panel. And then the way we work, those chairs have wheels. And so tires, and so you just roll them over to the front. We'll move this away and we'll launch into the panel. Before she comes up, I'd also like to recognize the Executive Director of the new African Immigrant Commission, who is also with us tonight. Thank you for being here.
Well, I bring you greetings from Columbus Public Health, and thank you for attending the Unity Conversation Across Cultures. I am the African American Community Health Liaison with the Center for Public Health Innovation. It's an honor to be here with all of you in this space of dialogue, reflection, and connection. This evening, we gather not just as individuals from different backgrounds, but as members of a larger community, one that is strengthened by our diversity and guided by our shared vision of understanding and equity. The UBUNTU philosophy, I am because we are, reflects the resilience of Africans and African Americans in overcoming oppression, whether through the African liberation movements or the civil rights struggles here in the United States. Unity Across Cultures is a cornerstone of today's event, serving as a powerful reminder that our differences do not divide us, but rather enrich our collective human experiences. Each voice brings value to this conversation, allowing us to deepen our understanding of one another and foster a spirit of inclusion. Black History Month is also an opportunity to acknowledge the cultural, spiritual, and intellectual wealth that Africa has contributed to the African American experience, such as language, music, and resistance strategies. So, as we leave this space tonight, I challenge each of us not to just carry these conversations in our hearts, but to put them into action. Unity is not just a word, it's a responsibility. I guess we'll start the conversation.
Move this.
Okay, tonight overall, we are basically, as you see the theme, shared experiences and opportunities. So as we discussed about how to structure this, we thought we have a diverse panel. Deba is from Nigeria. Karen is USA, American born. Hasiba, as you heard, is from Algeria, but she tells people that I'm from Africa. They wonder, Okay, there you go. And we have Dean, who is with us. He grew up in rural Ohio, moved to Columbus, so we thought he would also bring a different perspective to this conversation. And so, again, welcome. And I will hand over to Regina.
I'm going to start with you, Dean. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do and how the concept of Ubuntu fits your model of engagement.
Thank you, Regina. I appreciate that question. So my name is Dean Smith. I'm an Air National Guard veteran. I was a C-130 mechanic and a staff sergeant during my 6 years. I'm also an assistant city auditor for Columbus, Ohio, where I help manage the city's $5.2 billion debt portfolio, which helps pay for things in our built environment, such as parks, water lines, fire stations. I'm also a Greater Hilltop Area Commissioner, which, if you don't know, that's one of our largest areas in population. It would be about the 11th largest city in Ohio if it was its own city. I'm also a treasurer of Hilltop Rise Economic Development CDC, which helps support our Main Street and small businesses. And I'm a New American Leadership 2024 cohort. Just out of curiosity, by a show of hands, do we have any NALA graduates here tonight? Nabil, I know you were one. Awesome. And I know we got some on the panel here too. And I was actually one of the few American-born allies on the in the program, and it was, as a public servant, it was one of the greatest honors of my lifetime. And I feel like I learned so much, and so did a lot of the other cohort members, just being American-born within that space. It was definitely a privilege. And most importantly, I'm a connector. And so if any of these programs interest you, feel free to connect afterwards. And Ubuntu, to me, so it's humanity at its core, right? So I try and apply a lot of the principles of Ubuntu to my leadership style. So with Hilltop Rise, for example, we're doing a lot of work in our small business community. As you could probably tell, especially being, I'm actually the youngest certified public finance officer in the state of Ohio, and so more than public speaking, numbers are really my thing, you know. I'm much more comfortable looking at a spreadsheet than I am being up here. But you know, in that space, I try and do all the boring, less glamorous work. That way, the folks in Hilltop Rise can, such as our chair and executive director, who really know how economic development works, can do their jobs, and they don't have to worry about that. And I think that's a really good example of interdependence, similar to how the Super Bowl we may have watched this last weekend. There were it wasn't just the quarterback and the running back and the wide receivers on fields that were scoring points. It was the people on the sidelines, the towel managers, the coaches, everyone on the sidelines kind of helping in. So I see that as a way to help with the help embody the Ubuntu spirit. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll go to Hasiba. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do and how the concept of Ubuntu fits your model of engagement.
Yeah, my name is Hasiba Makour, and I came to the United States in 2002, and the principle of Ubuntu started when I came to the United States. Without the principle of Ubuntu, I'm not here, because I am because the community and the welcoming of the people of the United States and Columbus exactly. So I came here to the United States with a degree in engineering. Unfortunately, because of the language, I wasn't able to speak English. I didn't get the opportunity I was looking for. So the language barrier put me back. I set back from the dream I was dreaming before coming to the United States. I have people telling me, you have the knowledge, you just need the communication, you just need to learn the language. So I went back and learned English, and my journey started in education, and then I decided to give back to the community. So I founded a nonprofit organization called Advanced Technology Education Institute. In this institute, we empower people, underserved people, to get education, to get this, because of education, I was able to get my goal, to reach my goals. So in advanced education, in advanced technology education, we help people get certification, then we put them in jobs. We take them from poverty, we take them from the cycle they put themselves in because of the poverty. So we try to put them back in jobs.
Thank you very much. Deba, I'm going to ask you to answer the same question.
My name is Deba Uwadia. I hope it's
It's not on.
okay.
It's not on.
Yeah, my name is Deba Uwadia. Like Lidora introduced me earlier, I'm from Nigeria. I am a journalist. I came with my family 2011, and then Nigeria was still on the list of countries that come in that are less represented in America as at that time. So we entered for they call it visa lottery, you know. So in fact, we tried for about 10 years until we were able to get that program. And so we came, you know, my wife and 3 children. I was a journalist in Nigeria, so I came here hoping to be a journalist. So, unfortunately, in 2011, when we came, journalism, print especially, was getting challenged. And so I realized that it would be very difficult to get a job. I found out that it was only the Dispatch newspaper that was print. And there were some other publications that were weekly, but those publications were still under Dispatch newspaper. So that was the challenge. So I thought, what should I do? So after a while, I had to go look for other jobs, not as a journalist, But the Ubuntu spirit, came in, and I look at the community I'm part of, and I realized that the community is not really spoken well about in the news. Most times it's only when there is a crime in that community that you see it on TV, in the newspaper, or on radio. So I decided to start the New Americans magazine. And so the New Americans magazine came up in 2016, and so it has been a voice for the New Americans, and also we are able to transmit stories from the community we are, the extended community we are, down to the New American community. Right now, fortunately, because we have this social media platform, which we call WhatsApp, which is very relevant in the New American community. It's a free, platform that you can communicate with people in Europe, in Africa, in South America, all over the world. And so we broadcast daily to that community, 62 communities. That's Turkey, Russia, Greece, Nigeria, everywhere. And so we're able to reach out to the community, people from that community that are here, in not just Columbus, but Ohio. And so I also am a part of the Ohio Legislative Correspondents Association. And so that group, I have opportunity of covering the State House, and so representing the New American community, in that association. And so we're able to, I remember when we were covering COVID, everybody was always looking forward to us to give them the stories. So that's what we do for now.
Thank you, Deba.
And he is part of advanced technology education as well. He is a board director.
So we come to Karen. Karen, do you want me to repeat the question, or do you?
Okay. I looked around and said, what am I doing here? And I guess I'm representing Ohio Poetry Association, which has been in existence since 1929. And our mission is to further poetry and assist poets in their growth and all facets of poetry. And I've been kind of a unofficial ambassador for OPA because I talk about it everywhere I go, and I go lots of places. So, professionally, my background, the most of my adult life, I was a medical technologist and other things. I've been a paralegal, etc. But right now, I am happily enjoying being retired. So gives me more time for poetry. And one of the big things about Columbus and the arts community is it is a huge family of people, especially poetry. That is a very large family. and we do consider ourselves family. We're all about sponsoring and encouraging our young poets to be active in the community and watch them grow. And let's see, and we are all about community. So,
Are you diverse culturally?
oh, definitely. We're definitely diverse culturally. Poetry is very inclusive.
Thank you. So we're going to go on to storytelling and oral history. Because it's Black History Month, storytelling has been a part of the Black culture. How do you share your story? I'll ask you, Asa. Hasiba,
How I share my story.
how do you share your stories about your culture, your family?
Social media is a big part. I am very active on social media, and I use other platforms, but social media is very powerful. Also, we have, as a community leader, we have like events, and we like to dance, and we are very, wherever we hear music, we dance. So through the events, I share my stories. I like to give hope. Like coming here with no language, with a lot of barriers, telling my story will give hope and help others, probably in the same situation, or what I see now, they are in better situation where I came, because social media is a big part of our lives and the lives of others.
Did your elders share stories with you growing up?
The others, like
The elders, the older people, like your grandparents.
a long time ago, there is no social media, so it was like family gathering. We gathered in like family gatherings. They tell their stories. Yes.
Okay.
And actually, even now, they are able, like my mom, she is in her 80s, and she knows, and she is illiterate, like she didn't go to school. She learned, we taught her everything. We taught her a lot of things. She taught us a lot of things, but we taught her technology so we can communicate. She is in Africa, and she is able to use Facebook and what other TikTok now? yeah, everybody is using TikTok, and other like they are using this technology to communicate with us. They are adapting. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, Karen, to tell us how you share your stories and perhaps your parents or your grandparents during Black History Month.
Well, that touches on another project of mine, which is establishing my genealogy, putting my family tree together. My mother was the unofficial historian for part of the family, and when she passed, I guess the mantle got passed to me. And I'm part of the African American Interest Group of the Franklin County Genealogical and Historical Society. A lot of letters. And so's Joyce. And we meet once a month and learn techniques and how to do our searches and look for relatives. And Hasiba, that's a shared thing, is with your parents and grandparents and your elders telling you stories. And then genealogy makes you do the paperwork, the thing to corroborate your family stories. So, yeah.
Thank you. So, Dean, do you have a method within your culture as far as storytelling? Is it oral? Do you have a historian in the family?
That's a really good question. It's mostly stories passed down from generation to generation, and it's almost like a game of telephone, though. I feel in a lot of ways, because my grandma's saying one thing, but then my great aunts are saying the other, And that would actually, to a lot of my new American friends out there, that would be one of my biggest recommendations, so your guys' stories are so powerful. As a new American, it's influenced me a lot in life. I wish I could know the stories of my ancestors. To be perfectly frank with you, I think I'm German, but I've also had relatives tell me I'm Irish, so I'm not even entirely sure what my roots are. But had there been better documentation and record keeping within my family, I would know those histories better if they were written rather than through oral history. But all my new American friends that I've made through NALA, I feel like I've helped. It's helped make up for that missed history of my own ancestors who came to America, learning their journey, their struggles, and I think that's helped me learn to be a better ally and community member.
Are you going to take the time to learn your own history?
I've thought about getting a 23andMe kit, but there's obviously some data concerns nowadays with that. But okay, thank you.
And Dean, I would recommend too that you make sure that you talk to those ancestors who are still living.
Mm-hmm.
That I call them living libraries.
Uh-huh.
Get their stories now before they're gone.
Certainly, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
Okay, Deba, I'm going to ask you to take us back to Nigeria and give us some information about storytelling and how that was communicated.
Thank you very much. Nigeria loves telling stories. I know growing up, our parents, in order to keep us, with them in the evening, we always tell us stories, folk stories, and real stories. That was how we grew up. And, because Nigeria is very diverse as well in terms of tribe. We have different tribes, and so at home, your parents will tell you about the different tribes. I remember my grandmother. Actually grew up in Lagos. In Nigeria, I came from a city called Benin City. Benin City was the last empire that fell to the British in 1887. It used to be called Benin Empire. So it extended from where the present location in Nigeria to up to the border of Ghana. So that's where I came from. But in present-day Nigeria, we are in the minority. And so because we are in the minority, we are not, everywhere, so to say. And so our parents will tell us, these people are this tribe, these people are this tribe, these people are this tribe. Like I was say about my grandmother. When my grandmother visited us in Lagos, my grandmother said, if you want to marry, don't marry from our tribe. That was what my grandmother, I didn't ask her why, but I could guess, because our tribe, the young women she was seeing in our tribe, when she came to visit us in Lagos, a lot of them were not, people you could recommend. And so she said, if you want to marry, don't marry from our tribe. And so somehow by fate, I married from the Yoruba tribe. That's where I grew up. That's the language I can speak, very well. And so I'm able to share stories, about where I come from at every opportunity that I have. When I meet people, I try to share my stories, stories about Nigeria, stories about when I came. I was sharing a story with some friends 2 days ago, and I was telling them about how I grew up I raised my kids in an environment that was very busy, and that during the day you cannot come in because it's like a marketplace. But at night, it's very quiet. So I told them, I said, but every 12 midnight, I'm awake because armed robbers will come. And so you have to prepare for armed robbers with guns every 12 midnight. They will come to your house, and knock. And so you have to keep some money somewhere so that when they break into your house and ask you for money, you quickly go and take the money from the place. And so I use every opportunity to share my story. But when I got here, I was able to put those stories in a book titled Coming to America. I've also been able to encourage other people who are writers or body writers to come to our New Americans Book Fair, which is every year. So that's how
It's good to know.
Thank you.
So, I guess we're at question 3.
Yeah, maybe before we go there, I would just. Okay, it's on now. Yeah, so let me just, based on what you just shared, to highlight a few things that because we're talking about shared opportunities and experiences. So from what I hear from all of you, you've all in a way mentioned service to community. We talk about humanity, even if you didn't say the word, it was implied. I hear you talking about dreams. You all had dreams that you've pursued. The drive to want to do something, and you made a decision to do something. And because of that, you are where you are. I hear about representation. In terms of the storytelling, the oral and written history, I see from Africa, there's more oral and not written. But because of that decision to do something, Deborah is now encouraging other immigrants to tell their stories. We all have stories, and Dean is recommending that we tell those stories. We are also hearing that we write. In terms of how we learn and pass on information, those before us passed on the information, and we have a duty to also share that. And so it's important in this space as we talk about shared experiences, and that also brings me back to your point. Are you new here? So it's not just about coming here from somewhere else, coming to America, but you could be new in another state, in another community, in a school, somewhere else. So that shared experience and opportunity that we have to tell that story so that others that are before us can learn about it, and even those that are our parents can also learn. Like Hasiba said, my mom taught us a lot of things, but we're also teaching her. And so I just wanted to flag those. Yeah, so we can go to the next question and then probably wrap it up there.
So I will start with you, Karen. How can African immigrants and African Americans engage in meaningful cultural exchange to better understand each other's backgrounds, traditions, and experiences? What are some ways that we can celebrate both shared, and unique aspects of our cultures.
Wow, Regina. Okay. It's like I tell the new poets that when they're trying to build community in the poetry community, it requires you to show up. Go to the places where people are, meet people, be open. If we all gather and just keep things to ourselves, there is no conversation, there is no shared experiences, and we need those in order to grow. Don't just hang around with everybody that's like you. Meet some other people, learn some new customs, learn some new creativity. But that would be mine.
Yeah, I just learned from Deba about your book fair. I would like to attend if I can. Yeah.
It's every September. Every third Saturday of September. So this year is September 20th at the Car Road. I partner with the Columbus Metropolitan Library. So the Car Road Library will be hosting this year.
Thank you. So Hasiba, do you want to share how African immigrants and African Americans can engage in meaningful cultural exchanges?
So I'm going to talk about my community. We came from Africa. We are African too. And my community, and like other communities, the immigrants, they have to trust someone. They have to really trust to open up. So this is why this small non-profit or small organization, they talk to the people, to the immigrant, to the community, to give them like this sense of, I know what you're going through. We can talk, and I can help you. If I can help you, you will help somebody else. And it's like a series of small things that can get the community to get together, and trust is a big aspect of that.
So with your community from Algeria, do you
Yes.
have festivals, or do you have...
Yes. So we are the indigenous of North Africa. We actually the first people of North Africa. And many people think, like, they don't know a lot about us. We are Amazigh, we are Berber. And in other places we call them Shluh, c'est ça? Oui, I know you. So we are in all North Africa. We are the indigenous people. And we like I said, we love dancing and we love parties. We love to show our culture. So we have so many days in the year. We just celebrated the Amazigh New Year, and it's January 12th. But we didn't celebrate it on January 12th, but we did celebrate the New Year, and we had so many people. I didn't know we are a lot. There is so many Amazigh in Columbus. When I came over 20 years ago, probably we were less than 10 families. Now we are more than 300 families. This is just what I saw in the event, but we are more than that, including Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and Libya. This is all the countries. We are a lot here. And yes, we do have a lot of events. The next event is in April to celebrate the political movement of the Amazigh people, because we were oppressed, and it's a big history. So we do have an event coming in April, another event coming in May, and we would like you guys to come and see our culture.
Thank you. Dean, do you have any thing to share about how African Americans can exchange cultural ideas and traditions?
That's a good question. As a white American, I can only know through shared experiences what it's like to be a new American or to be African American. But I would say going back to what a lot of the other panelists have said, just kind of spending time with people outside of your bubble and getting to know one another better. I think that if we all took the time to just have a conversation or even like a cup of coffee or something with somebody very different than us, we could learn a lot, and we could change the world one discussion at a time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it takes time to come on. All right, so thank you again for sharing. Again, what I hear is that we all need to reach out more, get to know each other. Karen talked about the need to be open-minded to learn from the other, from one another. Hasiba talked about trust. That is a big thing. You talked about empathy, that you have people in your community that say to you, I understand, I feel, what you're feeling, but most importantly, how can I support? How can I help? So reaching out to others, and again, Dean just echoing the need to reach out. One of the reasons why we thought to think through this question is because as part of the problems that we've heard about between the African Americans and the immigrants and the refugees is that, one, we're all black, but we don't talk to each other much. We have prejudice and stereotypes about one another, and all of those come about also through word of mouth. We heard from Deba, his mother told him, don't marry from our tribe. We have situations where we heard from the very Ubuntu sessions where people were saying, well, these new Americans, they don't try too hard to be American enough. We've also heard from this session where immigrants and refugees have said, well, those black Americans or African Americans, they're not so welcoming. They always say we are here to take their jobs. All of these things. But what we've learned and what we continue to learn and we need to help others understand is that the more we get to know each other, the more we appreciate what we have, and that's the opportunity that we wanted to pull out from this conversation. We have an opportunity. In one of our meetings at the neighborhood best practice session, I said, for me, I came here in 2014 to the US. But I haven't just heard, but I've seen in my community that when a certain group of people move in, others move out. Now the question is, for how long are you going to be moving out? Because the more you move, people are coming. We've seen the data, we've heard about the data that more and more people will continue to come, especially considering that there's chaos out there. And so, as opposed to simply just moving and moving and moving, we heard council members say, we need to talk. It starts with talking. By talking, we get to know each other. By talking, we learn from each other. By talking, we build trust. And then we support each other more. So Columbus is a welcoming city. We also know and have heard that there are other people who are still very resistant. It's because they need to be brought in that space to learn, to also understand. Why are people coming here? Why aren't they staying in their own spaces? What are the issues? As we ask those questions, we learn more, and we'll seize the moment and opportunity because Columbus is so diverse. I always say you don't have to travel to India to learn about the Indians. You just find an Indian community, a neighborhood, or a friend, and you experience the culture 360. You don't have to board no flight. And that's the situation. I come from a country, I always tell that story. Our flag, our constitution, everything is modeled after the US. Because why? because what? Liberia was established by the American Colonization Society. In our heads, a lot of us, you talk about America, everybody wants to come here because we see America as that big mother, the big mama. But when you have people coming from Liberia who got constitution and everything modeled, we go to school, we say the pledge. The only thing that's different is where you see U.S., you put Liberia. That's the only thing that's different. We have one star in our flag. We have one star in our flag. But when Liberians come over and someone say, go to your country, it tells me that that person that is saying go to your country don't know. They don't know their history. And we need to do as much as we can. Let's write. Let's talk about it. Let's tell our stories. And through that process, Columbus, Ohio, and America will become a better place to live. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And thank you, Regina. Before they take their seats, we will go into small groups. We have questions for each of you. And but at this moment, we just want to take maybe 2 or 3 questions if anybody have for the panel. If no, let's give it up to our panelists. Thank you so much. We will form 4 small groups, and we have questions for each group. We'll deliberate on those questions and we wrap it up for the evening. How does that sound? All right. It is time. All right. Every good thing must come to an end. Yeah. We said to talk, but we're constrained by time. Okay, so who wants to go first? Please choose someone from your group to share what you were discussing, and we'll move on to the next group and then wrap it up. Who wants to go? Do you have a mic? All right. There's a mic. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'm volunteering with you.
They're not gonna. You got to take it.
Talk.
All right.
Thank you so much. My name is Shafi Shafat. I'm the president of the Somali American Chamber of Commerce here in Central Ohio. There was a very good discussion that this was my first time to be part of Ubuntu. I think I belong to it. I'm from South Africa. I lived all my life over there. I speak the language. I speak Xhosa very fluently. And Ubuntu is part of my life.
Awesome.
So the point of the bridges, let me handle the question.
Say the question.
That says, what are some key values or practice that you believe African immigrants and the African American share that can help build bridges between the two groups? We spoke about more in clearly, and we identify a few, one of them being religion, that the African American and the African immigrant share is the religion. Some of them are Christians, some of them are Muslims, and they share the same value. The Muslims, I've been to Dayton Mosque where I prayed, and I met, elderly African Americans that lived, they say, their grandfather was born here, and they were all Muslims. The same to any other religion, mostly the Christianity. They are those Africans that came from Africa that are Christian, and religion is one of them. The other issue we identified was that the entrepreneurship. African Americans, if you look at the suburbs where they live and the township, you see barbers and small business, and they have got that skill of entrepreneurship, which is also another way back home. If you go to Nigeria, if you go to Ghana, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Ghana, I've been to 9 African countries. So all those countries, when you go to, you see small scale business that are outside. So entrepreneurship is also another way of, a bridge that can bring these people together, so that the African pride that's in them is always there. The other thing we identified is, the attire. I mentioned, back home, we used to have the afro with a wooden comb in it. There's a wooden comb,
Yeah.
you walk with it everywhere you go. So you can comb your hair in the parking lot, in everywhere. So, and I see, I was proud of, young African Americans who are outside there. And there's no wooden comb anymore, but they still have that comb in the hair. You can see that. So that's also another way of, you can see that the African American are more intact to the African culture and African pride. So the other point we mentioned was, what was the last one we mentioned? The other point we mentioned was, the skills of the African Americans and the immigrants. Most of the immigrants, when they come here, they forget the culture. It's kind of like the way I look like. I could have the afro and the comb in my hair right now, but I have a suit. It's a different way. So to bring that gap between the African Americans and the African immigrants here in Central Ohio will be more easier. I think as a business expert and an industry that I have a lot of experience in it, is the entrepreneurship. We can learn from each other. And that will be a way we can close that bridge. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Next group, building bridges. Next group. Okay.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Nabil.
You said my face.
I think I'm loud with that. Good evening, everybody. My name is Nabil. So I'm originally from Morocco. I'm just going to start when my brother end. I heard when he talk about the word ataya. So in Morocco we say atay. That's when people used to be family, friend, and neighbor. They meet each other together. They make tea and they tell story to each other, and they all learn from this story. But talking about that's how me and my colleague, when we was discussing in this group, how we can transfer this storytelling that's it's actually in all the culture. So how to transfer for nowadays to make all of us meet and communicate with each other, especially with this new technology nowadays and how life going too fast. Nobody have time for that. So we just need a fun time to break that culture barrier with each others. So like we say here, so for example, how I can talk about a Somali culture example or like Nigerian or South African culture if I never get to meet those people and try their food and learn about this culture. So we just need to break these obstacles and be open mind to learn about each other and to try. Like sometimes you can see a food and you think you might like it, but when you try it, you will like it. So you cannot judge before you try anything. And one of these things, so how inside Columbus, how we make all this community get connected and get chance to meet and learn about each other. I know there is a lot of festival in Columbus. There is like Asian festivals, there is African festivals, Indian festivals. I think the way how we need to look on it, how we can put all this community together in one festival. And I think that will be a great opportunity to make everybody more open mind and more about learning about each other experience and make more connection too. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. So our question was, how has storytelling and oral history led to the creation of prejudice and stereotypes, and what strategies could be employed to deal with the misconception? So we had a really good conversation, especially relating to that oral prejudice that could form and the way in which people tell their stories. So we spoke about the fact that depending on who's telling the story, the narrative changes. Obviously, because And one of our group members, a sister here, mentioned the fact that the victor is the one that tells the story. So naturally, depending on who has that ability and has a certain kind of connection to the experience, they can either tell in favor of themselves or they can paint the opposition to be their oppressors. So that's one dangerous thing about the oral line and tradition, because if I'm telling the story and I was wronged by somebody else, that, for example, I'll use my Nigerian brother here, a long time ago I was wronged by a Nigerian man, I'll speak about the fact that he did X, Y, and Z to me, when in reality that couldn't have been the truth, right? But I'm the person telling, and there are listeners, and I have an audience to present to. So we spoke about the fact that the best way to change, you know, or to combat that possibly, is to start a narrative of your own. At the end of the day, you have a voice and you have opinions and you have experiences. So if somebody has any preconceived notions about what a white man is like, what a Moroccan man is like, what a Somali man is like, what a Nigerian man is like, they have those negative ideas and they try to put that label on you. The best thing you can do is go out there and tell your story. So you have social media and different platforms in which you can then be like, no, this is not true. My culture does not do this. My culture does not do that. These are the things we appreciate. These are our values. And I've been someone who's kind of always thought deeply more about the human experience. And it's so profound to me, the fact that as humans, we all connect emotionally, but the things that we choose to differentiate us are the physical aspects and the mental experiences. So it's like seeing somebody that looks differently than you put them in a different category. But if he cries, you understand that he's crying. Why is that similar, but then there's a difference in the way that you see it? So stuff like that we felt like was ways that you can be able to change and challenge that that thought and experience.
Okay.
You recorded that, right?
I saw director of the phone, so. Yes, we have, that's why we have CTV in the room, so that was. So thank you all. We've realized over time that bringing the group together like this is always very powerful. Thank you for all the points that you've raised. We heard from Group 1, who talked about building bridges. They identified shared experiences, religion, entrepreneurship, our dress code, the attire. Group 2 talked about passing down that story, sharing our story, finding time. Yes, for us immigrants, refugees, we're so busy working. Sometimes we have 3 jobs and we're just going and going and going, and we don't find a time to really sit and do what's necessary. And that's why we are always appreciative of you taking the time to come to these events, because it's very important for all of us. You talk about joint festivals, and Nabil, just as you were speaking, it just made me think about the One Columbus Cultural Festival. That is why we started that, because we realized that everybody is having their own festival, which is good. It's good to celebrate your culture and everything. But as the department, we talk about many neighborhoods, one Columbus. How do we show that in practice? We came up with the One Columbus Culture Day, and that is set for May 1st this year. So keep an eye on the emails. You'll keep seeing my emails, so don't get tired with me. So we will have that One Columbus Culture Day on May 1st. We started last year. About 500 people showed up. It was really big. We look forward to making it bigger, especially hearing from Deba, who tells us that he's connected to 62 communities. All right, Group 3 talked about changing the narrative. And again, we've heard the voice. Our voice is our power. We tend to listen to what people say we are, and don't try to do much at letting others know who we are. Using your voice, telling that story, that's our power. Like I said earlier, there's so much resistance because a lot of us are not reaching out. We are not telling those stories. We're so good at telling our children, don't mingle, don't go there. Stay away from that group. But we forget that that impacted us too. As adults, we forget the childhood experience or the childhood experiences that divided us. So we have a duty to make sure that we also tell the story and tell it in the right way so that our children don't make the same mistakes that we made. Telling that story, we also heard today that we also need to not just tell it, but write it. I went to the book fair last year, and I said to Deborah, you know what? I don't have a book. Everybody's got a book, but I want a table. And he says, okay, so what's going to be there? I said, my ideas. And I got creative, and a beautiful story came out of there that he published. And so just make the decision. Do something powerful. Well, hopefully, if I can find some time, that book will come out soon. And so we need to tell our stories in more meaningful ways. Our children go to school. They have multiple experiences. They come home, and we're telling them something else. They get confused. So we are contributing to the problem. So how we change that around depends on us, on all of us. We want to be welcome. Let's be welcoming. But it doesn't just happen. It starts by talking. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very good evening. I'd like to just leave you with a few words from a Spanish philosopher, José Ortega Gasset, who said, I am I plus my surrounding. If I do not protect the latter, I do not protect myself. I say that again. Sorry, he actually said preserve. I am I plus my surrounding. If I do not preserve the latter, I do not preserve myself. We are all one and the same. That's the whole concept of Ubuntu. We are Americans. We are all one and the same. What we do here with our kids today, the experiences, the communities we build, will tell a story years after. And I'm sure all of us want to be old and look back and smile, but we have to start now. So thank you very much. I call on Abdi Sofe to wrap it up. We're good? Okay. He has given me the authority to wrap it all up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, we will, Yeah, don't forget to grab a book. And you want to say something? Final words? Grab a book. It's free. We still have food back there. Grab your food. Grab some water. Stay hydrated, even though it's cold. And we will see you again in 2 months. Thank you.